All right, welcome to this side where we look at the papers and the headlines across Nigeria. It's really an interesting morning. And we have in the studio joining us here too, certainly my colleague Veronica is here to do justice on this with me. But we have Funke Treasure here in the studio. Yay!
Thank you.
Yes, she's our senior colleague in the media and the journalism industry. It's really interesting, and it's good to have you, Funke.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right, let's begin with the Blueprint newspaper. Blueprint says, as Kano Federal High Court reinstatement, 15 APC governors meet to decide Oshiomole's fate. What they do at night will be destroyed by light in the day. That's Oshiomhole is quoted as saying this. And why National Working Committee wouldn't obey court order. Mustafa is quoted also as saying this. Ekiti chapter reject Ajimobi. Police still lay siege to party secretariat. Well, that's some of the headlines you see on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. Now, let's go to Daily Trust. Daily Trust says, Nigeria's debt hits 33.078 trillion naira as Senate approves Buhari's $22.7 billion loan. The federal government spent 8 trillion naira on debt servicing in 5 years. And experts flay borrowing. 96 million Nigerians live in extreme poverty. You see all those headlines on the front page of the Daily Trust. Veronica.
All right, I'll take it from the front page of the News Direct now. Audits system review of customs, FIRC, ICPC. Auditor General targets 100 billion naira savings in 2020. Finally, arraigns ex-SEC DG Guazo, co-accused over alleged 12.8 million naira contractor scam. And finally, on the front page of the Daily Times, Senate okays Buhari's $22.798 billion loan request amidst controversy. NASA will take full responsibility, won't allow diversion of funds. Lawan. PDP berates APC senators for approving loan, accuses presidency cabal of racket running. That's all, Mike.
All right, we have with us broadcaster, and we'll be focusing on women this time around. The point there is, we'll be celebrating, or the world will be celebrating International Women's Day in about 2 days from, I think it's on Sunday.
On Sunday.
Yeah, and on the 8th. We are focusing on what impact the female or women journalists in commemoration of the International Women's Day. And we have in the studio a broadcaster, Funke Treasure-Dorodola, here to give us impacts into all of this. Funke, it's nice to have you join us again and again. Now, when it comes to impact of women, some people have heard comments from people saying that it seems women, anything that has to do with public relations, engagement, women seem to be better than even men. You have been in the industry, you've been very successful in the industry. Do you feel the same when it comes to measurement?
I think because women are naturally nurturers.
Oh.
Right? We mustn't forget that we're nurturers. So it's almost natural for us to step into these shoes to manage, because we manage homes. So it's easy for us to manage companies, organizations, and make success out of it. If you look at where women are administrators, you see that they're meticulous. Some people may say, they're difficult to work with. That's because they have attention to details most time, and they want the job done. Most women want the job done. They don't want to, be found to be wanting.
Absolutely.
So if they're extra strict or firm, then people say, I don't want to work with women. But to get things done, you must do it well. For somebody like me, I take no prisoners. What is the job to be done? This is the assignment. Let's do it and give it our best shot.
Wow.
Most women are like that.
You were in the industry you're still in the industry. But
I am still in the
She's still in the industry.
Don't retire me out of the industry.
No leave, no transfer.
You've been in the industry for over 20 years. And for some upcoming journalists who are females, they're finding it difficult, to climb that ladder because they feel that they have the capacity. But then it seems like I'm struggling here and there. We're not being allowed to show what we can do. How were you able to move through all of this in over 20 years of your
First
time?
of all, you know that we have different generations, and things evolve from one generation to the other. I'm beginning to sound like an advert. You know, so when I started this journey into broadcasting and media generally, it's different from now. I mean, when people say, oh, I was a star, in the 80s, it was only Radio Nigeria and NTA.
Oh,
Of course.
So now you want to compare that to now, when you have more than 40 radio stations in Lagos, you have about the same amount in Abuja, and everyone's got to fight for a space. And within different organizations, there are people with competencies that you're still aspiring to. So gone are the days when a pretty face and a nice voice will see you through. You have to have some basic competencies. And what I tell women is you have to be skilled and continually evolve, you know, in this, this era, technological era. The fact that you know how to do Adobe Audition does not mean that you need, that's the zenith for you. You must be in touch with the, you know, with new technologies and new ways of doing things. It's not enough for you to just look up, look down and say you're reading the news. You must be in the news yourself. You must know what's going on. So if you have, for instance, let me look for a name now. Let's say Ajimobi. Ajimobi is no longer the governor in Oyo State, and for one funny reason, you see it in your script. You must be able to edit it right there. And no, this is not Ajimobi. This is
exactly. And it takes someone who is current to be able to detect that.
Yeah. So the point is, you cannot do this. Seeing yourself as a pretty face. There are too many pretty faces outside. They'll upstage you there if you're not careful. So you must be. You must pack substance.
Okay.
You must pack substance. You must pack substance.
Okay. All right. This discussion is going to continue because there are so many aspects of looking at this, because when it comes to the generation now and what the industry requires now, it's quite different from maybe your generation or maybe our generation. Okay, you
our
are
generation. I'm still younger, please.
Okay.
The same generation.
All right, Funke Treasure-Dorodola, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. It's time to take a look at stories making the headlines in Nigerian newspaper. I have with me in the studio broadcast journalist and TV host YinkaKenny. And also we have author and seasoned broadcaster Funke Treasure-Dorodola. Well, we will be focusing on the impact of female journalists in commemoration of the International Women's Day, and that is why we have an all-women's affair this morning. Good to have you, ladies. You're looking beautiful and bright this Friday morning. But before we get down to business, I'll quickly look through the newspaper headlines this morning, and I begin with the blueprint. As Kanu FHC reinstatement, 15 APC governors meet to decide Oshiomhole's fate. What they do at night will be destroyed by light in the day. Oshiomhole. Why National Working Committee won't obey court order. Mustafa Ekiti chapter reject Ajimobi. Police still lay siege to party secretariat. All right, we move to the front page of the Daily Trust. Nigeria's debt hits 33.078 trillion naira as Senate approves Buhari's 22.7 billion naira $billion loan. I beg your pardon. Federal government spent 8 trillion naira on debt servicing in 5 years. Experts flee borrowing. 96 million Nigerians live in extreme poverty. To the front page of the News Direct now. Audit system review of customs, FIRC, ICPC. Auditor General target 100 billion naira savings in 2020. Finally arraigns ex-SEC DG Guazo, co-accused over alleged 12.8 million naira contract scam. And on the front page of the Daily Times, Senate okays Buhari's $22.798 billion loan request amid controversy. NAS will take full responsibility, won't allow diversion of funds. Lawan. PDP berates APC senators for approving loan, accuses presidency cabal of racket running. To the Nation newspaper, they are after me because of 2023, says Oshiomhole. Well, Federal High Court maintains the status quo. Party chair goes to appeal court. Fire me, Buhari meet at Villa. Finally, The Vanguard newspaper. APC crisis latest. Oshiomhole rebounds as Kano court sets aside suspension. Alleges serving minister. Some governors are rooting to oust him. Oshiomhole files full ground appeal to set aside his suspension. Says his tenure will be determined by God, not man. National Working Committee member Kicks says party will obey suspension order. Lawyers fault Kano court, want lawyer judge sanction. All right, ladies, let's talk women now.
I wish we could talk about that. Oshiomhole.
Right. But then our focus is on us,
women. Leader, former Labour leader, loved. But yeah.
So much controversy around him, but then that's not our focus.
Yeah.
We're talking about women in journalism, how much impact we have made over the years. And you ladies have been in the system for some time now. I'm starting way before I even thought about coming into the business.
And some people will be thinking we're dinosaurs now. No, probably you. You.
All right, but let's look at how much impact we have made over the years. Recently, we've seen the Sex for Max documentary. We saw the reaction that stirred and the bill that it began, that they began to push forward at the National Assembly. We also had the codeine that was also pushed forward by a lady, just to mention a few of them. And the impact it had made, especially where the government began to, crack down on, issues like codeine and the likes. From your observation, from what you have seen over the years, how impactful have we been in trying to change stereotypes and certain things with regards to the society? Because that's what journalism is about. I'll start with you, Funke.
Well, I am elated that women in the media can be found in the different strata of the media. If you talk about media ownership, you have a lot of women who've come into that. They're owning their own radio stations, their own TV stations. The Agata Amata, you have the Senator Chris Sanyang, and quite a number of them are there as gladiators, trailblazers, as media owners. Yeah? And then when you talk about media executives, I want to talk about the current Commissioner for Information in Osun State, Funke Treasure-Dorodola. Been there, handling things, one of our best in the country right now. If you're talking of media administrators, outstanding reporters that you have mentioned, producers of documentaries and shows, you're talking of reporters. Let's not go back to the old generations of the late Sele Radiri and, war correspondents, our own war correspondents, and we have done fantastically well. And if you move on to the new generation of media gladiators, you find women all over the place. So but the point is we can have better representation. We can do better. Women should, work as a collective and not as individuals. I want to emphasize that.
And that is what we're trying to push.
Yes, we must be, yes,
for this year.
Because if we do it individually, we can only go this far. But when we do, fast, as people say, there's a saying that you do it alone, you go fast. You do it, with other people, you go far.
Right. And that's where I'll bring YinkaKenny in now. Most women find it difficult working with other women over time. I don't know what your experience has been, but I wonder why that is. We are fighting a collective enemy, so I wonder why we're seeing each other as competitors. How do we deal with that if we really need to move forward?
Yes, just what we're talking about behind the scene, I want to say that this is a main problem we have, within women. From the high, the low, the middle class, even down there, you find that there's this sort of power tussle within us that's kind of a feeling of superiority. And probably Funke Treasure, she's a senior colleague, and I happen to stumble, into her somewhere, and I cannot relate with her, very well, because I see her as being up there, or she sees me as being up there. Probably if she were to be a man, I were to be a man, it would have been a different ball game.
Absolutely.
I think that we should start with ourselves and start with our, immediate immediate environment. No matter what your status is in the society, try, start from your immediate environment, from your domestic staff. You see a lot of women today that they find very difficult to relate even with their feminine domestic staff, and they are all,
it's a challenge.
So I feel
that
that
it's a challenge.
Yes, it's not that much of a challenge. Yes, I agree with you, it's a challenge. But again, there are quite a number of women who are into mentorship. They're mentoring. I'm into mentorship. Headline now in Abuja is into. Quite a lot of women are trying to pass the knowledge to other people. But the point you're making is, just as the lady on the other segment talked about, women need to socialize
yes,
more.
that's where
that's the point
that's
you
where I'm
want
going.
to make.
That's where I'm going.
If I am
that's
this,
where I'm going.
where I am who you are.
Exactly.
And men do it a lot. When I ran the table tennis championship, I saw how men relate. In the evening, they come together, and the decisions they make, where they're having their drinks and stuff, stands.
I think
That's what they work on the next day. And each time I went to these spaces, I found no woman. So I'm alone talking to men, wanting to, cajole them, persuade them to do what I want. I find no woman. So women should learn
to socialize.
to socialize.
Yes.
But how does she
that's-
socialize when she has the home front as
That's,
well?
that's
to
where I'm
handle
going, because she needs
as
to.
well. We can
So
create
she
our
needs
own
to.
environment.
She
balance.
We
She
have
needs
to
to
create our own
begin to
environment.
work on ourselves from our immediate environment. If she can relate well with people that are so low to her, probably in status, in hierarchy, or whatnot, from our immediate environment, then she finds it easy when she goes out to do the same thing with the outside world, because you are able to let loose, you are able to, be free, you are not holding back, you are not, just mumbled up there. That's the reason, a lot of women find it difficult to socialize. We cannot just let loose, let go. And at times, because we find ourselves doing so many things, we are
At the same time. And so striking a balance and going out to
but
let
then
them
we must learn to focus while we multitask.
Exactly.
important.
It's not all, we should tell ourselves, like something I'm trying to tell myself in the recent times, that it's not all being so street, work. Pipe it low, pipe it down a bit. It helps a lot.
Because you have a target, but then striking a balance is the major issue. Thank you, ladies. YinkaKenny, Funke Treasure, for speaking with us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Heading to the papers now, see what the headlines are. And I have with me in the studio broadcast journalist and TV host YinkaKenny and author and seasoned broadcaster Funke Treasure-Dorodola. It's nice to be here among seasoned women in this beautiful industry. Good morning, all, and nice to see you. Funke, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to see
Good morning.
you.
Thank
and Kenny,
you.
you're welcome too.
My pleasure.
YinkaKenny, yes. All right. Now, today, certainly, we'll be focusing on the impact of female journalists in commemoration of the International Women's Day. And on this segment, we'll be looking at some of the things that the young female journalists can do to be like one of them here, or even be better, as the case may be. All right, but let's look at the papers now. We start from the Blueprint newspaper, and it says, as Kano Federal High Court reinstatement, 15 APC governors meet to decide Oshiomole's fate. And what they do at night will be destroyed by light in the day. That is, Adams Oshiomhole is quoted as saying that. Now, why National Working Committee wouldn't obey court order? Mustafa was quoted as saying that. And Ekiti chapter rejects Ajimobi, and police still lay siege to a party secretariat. You'll find all that on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. Now, let's go to Daily Trust. Daily Trust newspaper says Nigeria's debt hits 33.078 trillion naira as Senate approves Buhari's $22.7 billion loan. And the federal government spent 8 trillion naira on debt servicing in 5 years. And experts flay borrowing. 96 million Nigerians live in extreme poverty. You find that on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. Now, News Direct is our next port of call here. Audit system review of customs, FIRC. ICPC Auditor General target 100 billion naira savings in 2020. And finally, arraigns ex-SEC DG Guazo, co-accused over alleged 12.8 million naira contract scam. You find that on the front page of the News Direct. Daily Times is the next one now we're looking at. And it says, Senate okays Buhari's $22.798 billion loan request amidst controversy. A National Assembly will take full responsibility, won't allow diversion of funds. That's the Senate President, Ahmed Lawan, is saying. There's a PDP berates APC senators for approving loan, accuses presidency cabal of racket running. You find that on the front page of the Daily Times. The Nation newspaper is next, and it says, they are after me because of 2023, says Oshiomhole as the national chairman of the APC. And it has some riders here that says, Federal High Court maintains status quo. That's what the Federal High Court is saying. Party chair goes to appeal court, and Fayemi Buhari meet at the villa. Okay, that's what the Nation has. The Vanguard newspaper is the last one we're looking at now, and it focuses on the APC crisis latest. And it says Oshiomhole rebounds as Kano court sets aside suspension. Alleges serving minister, some governors rooting to oust him. And Oshiomhole files foreground appeal to set aside his suspension. It says his tenure will be determined by God and not man. Now, the National Working Committee member Cake says party will obey suspension order. Lawyers fault Kano court, want lawyer, judge sanctioned. All that are issues you see on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. Now, those are some of the headlines across Nigeria this morning. There are even much more in other papers, but certainly they're really interesting political, economic, and other stories there. Grab copies and get up to date with what's going on. All right, let me focus on my ladies this morning. All right, now I'm going to start with you, YinkaKenny. A lot of young people, not just even ladies now, young people these days who want to go into the media industry, a lot of them, most of them, from the way we've engaged, they want to be presenters, they want to be anchors, they want to be newscasters. It's not a bad thing anyway, it's a good one. But what would it take? What are the ingredients they need to get to that level?
First off, for me, I would say training. Training is really, really, really important, because I, as a person, before I got even a formal education in broadcast and presentation, I went through some sort of training for about 3 years, like an internship, and which a lot of young people today find it difficult to undergo. They feel that you've gone to have the theoretical, aspect of it. Yeah. They don't want to. It's a process, like my senior colleague here.
Our senior colleague.
She didn't get here in one day. Yeah. She didn't become Funke Treasure, didn't become a household name in one day. It was a process. It took, a time. I'm sure that a lot of things she learned on the job. A lot of young people today, they want to, jump the ladder. They don't want to go the...
Fame.
Exactly.
They want to be as popular as Funke Treasure is.
A lot of us went through, I for 3 years, I did internship at a radio station. I worked at another radio station for over a year.
All of that grooming yourself?
Without being paid.
Okay.
And I saw it, I had the drive, because I had the vision. I knew where I was going to. So they need the training, on the field training. Patience, dedication, determination, that you have, focus. You have to just keep looking at where you are going.
All right, that's setting a target. Now, Funke, the point is...
Can I quickly chip in something?
Okay, let me give you all you need to talk about. So that the point there is, you are a mentor to a lot of people. You have groomed a lot of people. You've lectured a lot of people. You've taught a lot of people. Training certainly cannot be overemphasized. But what are other ingredients that anyone needs, especially young ladies, to get there?
What they must realize is that the heart of what we do in the media is storytelling. Yeah. You're a storyteller as a media professional or an aspiring media professional. So what you do is learn the art of storytelling, whether as a broadcaster or as a journalist. And in doing that, you don't wait for your organization all the time. You do what is called self-investment, self-development. Yes, you can go for training. You can go for internship. I mean, there are different things. You can go for online courses here and there with reputable organizations across the world, even while you're here in Nigeria. I go to organizations these days, and how do I know the interns? Because they're busy taking photos. I just know, oh, this is an intern.
These are interns.
That's what they do.
Or they're fiddling with their phones.
And the question about they all want to be presenters, when they come to me and say, I want to be mentored, what do you want to do? They tell me presentation. I said, you want presentation, first of all. So you need to get your tenses right. You need to get your pronunciation right.
Diction, elocution,
yes,
and
all
stuff.
of that. But you also need to do the other things. Nobody's going to employ you outside Nigeria if all you want to do is oh, and all of that. It's not all about elocution. You must have substance. I return to substance. Yep. You must know the art of storytelling. Can you go report on the field? Can you put things together and produce something? Because no, you can't stay there. You can't be there just speaking English.
Yeah. Exactly.
And
you
report,
don't you?
Exactly.
Don't you?
No, of course.
Yeah, and you produce.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
young people out there,
Uh-huh.
you need to self-develop.
Exactly.
You
That's the
need
word.
to acquire skills. You need to know how to produce, how to report, because once in a while you need items within a program, and you need to go and do this. Right. So it's not about your pretty face, I say that again, and it's not about your fantastic voice.
And
you must be able to.
You really need to know a little bits and bits of everything, not just be stereotyped. Okay. It's not about being stereotyped, and you really need to be determined to know where you're going and be ready. You have a passion for it, and be ready to be all out to learn. That's a problem we have now.
The mindset has to be.
Exactly.
All right, the ladies have said everything, so I don't need to add anything again. Thank you very much, Funke Treasure-Dorodola, for coming on the program.
Thank
and
you.
It's really nice to have you.